Wait a minute, let me take that block off of your face. Thank you. Now I can see her again.
Marvelous. Okay, I am here with rockstar KT Ruth Meyer. Ruth, thank you so much for joining me and being a part of this. I thought of you immediately while watching the Olympics. It is Olympic season, and you're one of our kinesiotherapists who actually has been involved with Olympians. And not only that, but you are a rock star in your own right. You are the International Swimming Hall of Fame 2 years ago. You inductee, which is amazing. And you continue to be on the world stage with aquatics. And I just think you're incredible. So thanks so much for being here. And tell me a little bit about your experience with your Olympian.
So I think it's incredibly timely that you're asking me to do this, because with the whole issue with Simone Biles and her making a personal choice about my health and my well-being, and making a choice of what she can and cannot do. So I preface it that way because the Olympian I worked with was retired, and so I didn't work with her while she was an Olympian. But you know, she was a diver. I think many people don't understand what people give up to be Olympians. So she truly had a life where she had left her family to go train with a coach when she was, I don't know, 12, you know, left her family, moved to where the coaching was, you know, became this diver. And her name is Wendy Williams. And she, you know, she was a competitor, and she just, recently she was on the cover of something that came out from the Hall of Fame or one of the swimming journals. I guess they were reviewing prior Olympians, and, you know, the pictures of her are spectacular. But you know what? All these years later, she's spectacular. Like, she is this gorgeous, wonderful, healing human being who was able to compete on the world stage, bronze level. She got injured, hurt her neck, and had to retire. And she didn't lose that. Like, she didn't lose how much work it takes to keep yourself healthy and well. She always strove to find, what do I need to do to keep myself healthy and well? And she and her husband have a beautiful home, maybe 20 miles from me here in Charlottesville, and have a wonderful business where they are helping humans to be healthier humans, and use kind of an Eastern medicine approach to well-being. And, you know, she lives this beautiful life that came out of almost trauma, because to be an Olympian, you've given up a lot of things to train and to leave your family and to do all the things that you do. And the environment is so competitive. And I think any of us can recall, whether we were first class athletes or not, you know, what middle school and high school feels like, you know?
Well, and as you said, this is the first time we really are acknowledging the mind-body connection, and how it obviously it starts in the mind and then our body follows, but it also can break down in our mind and then our body follows. And I think that is why you are uniquely qualified to have worked with her, because with kinesiotherapy, you know, there is definitely an emphasis on, you know, the psychology of it and wrapping your mind around it, and then your body will follow. So how did you use your KT skills to work with her?
So we had Watsu sessions together. So she's obviously loves water. So we did aquatic body work together. And because of her personal insight, you know, the debriefing at the end of a session. So oftentimes I would float her for not just an hour, but an hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours, to help her work through just all the things her body needed. And so it indeed is one of the blessings about how Watsu works is it is mind, body, heart work. So it allows the body to process and release things and stuck areas, but then process through those memories because it has the connection to the chakras and the meridians. It has the connection to just heart work, that I'm just there being present, and then moving you into positions and making connections so that you can do your own healing and your own work. And then, you know, at the end of the session, we debrief, and whatever bubbles up, we can have a conversation about and then move forward.
It really is a form of energy work. I don't think I've even thought of it that way. But it really is.
Very much so. It's, yes, there's some physical stretching and traction and, you know, mechanical stuff that goes on, but even deeper to the work is the whole spiritual mind, body, energy component to it. And so it's really powerful. And, you know, her passion and love of water, and then the extension becomes, you know, her learning how to float in her own hot tub, or her practicing it with her husband, and me teaching her husband how to do some work. And so there's couples interaction and relationship interaction. And, you know, so it's having those skill sets to be able to instruct, not only treat. So it, you know, Watsu is passive, you know, I'm doing the work, she's passively, you know, doing her stuff. But then to be able, for those that want to, teaching her and her husband to be able to learn the basic foundation of it, so that they then can create this dynamic within themselves and their marriage, to further heal and to further grow. And so, again, as you say, you know, the psychological components of it, the energy healing components of it, but then also, you know, the bigger, broader, let's apply this to the rest of our lives.
And so you've worked both in private practice and in the VA. Have you done that with veterans too? PTSD? I mean, is that all? Have you found success kind of doing that energy work with that demographic as well?
So I will say I have had some veterans in my practice. The VA as a system sometimes has a hard time making it a comfortable space,
Sure.
to be able to offer some of these complementary approaches. Although now that the VA is really accepting more complementary and integrative health practices, I think my goal in the next several years is to really push it out into the VA and all the pools that are in the VA, because they are therapy warm pools. What I will say is the communities around us have done it. So there is, especially in California, there are several Watsu practices that have open spaces for veterans and have been doing a lot of healing work for veterans. And truly, it makes perfect sense. So I don't know any veterans who haven't been traumatized in whatever way. You know, there's just that level of commitment, that 24/7, 365 commitment takes a toll. No matter
like
what.
like an Olympic athlete, they're putting their bodies through, you know, things that most of us don't do on a daily basis. Can't imagine.
Yes, absolutely. And so there's so much going on and complexity. And so the veterans that I have seen, it is truly powerful work. Again, they don't have to find the words, you know, they don't have to find words to explain what's going on inside their body and inside their hearts and minds. They can just experience it. And we don't really have to quantify it. And in healthcare, that's hard, because in healthcare, we want to quantify, right? We want to show objective improvement. And so, you know, there can be some nuances with that. But, you know, I've had veterans with, you know, Navy veterans, they know how to swim, and they've had an injury, and swimming doesn't come mechanically the way it's supposed to because of an injury. And so how do you get back to swimming? And every time you try it, it's so frustrating. So can we try something slightly different, still in the water, but something slightly different? And how do we regain your walking skills in the water, and how do we regain all of this? And like one of my guys that I was working with, Navy veteran, he now started an adapted sailing program.
Wow.
So he himself, he knew he loved water. He knew he loved things. He saw some of the nuance about what the water work was doing. It opened up opportunities for him to say, well, maybe, what else can I do? And he likes to sail. He's worked his way through. He has a nonprofit that does sailing, so I think that the best gift we can give to our clients is to set them free.
Mm.
So if we can help them to explore, and as kinesiotherapists, we're educators. We're health-minded, well-being, self-care educators. My job is to get you free, is to get you to find something that you can be passionate enough about so that your well-being, your well-being lasts as long as your life. So your health span lasts as long as your lifespan. And I stole that from our whole health program, but I really like that, right?
Yes. Well, and I think one thing that you mentioned you're an educator is something that made you very successful in your career is you are constantly learning, constantly studying, constantly reading. You're constantly kind of going down the rabbit hole of this modality and this therapy within the scope of practice of KT, but really going to the next level with it. And I think that has made you very, very successful, both in private practice and in different elements of your career. And what is your passion now? What are you currently studying that's interesting?
Oh my gosh! So with the VA rolling out whole health, or live whole health, and all that it has, and using complementary integrative methods for pain management, reduction of opioid use, stress and trauma informed care. It's learning what the newest and expansive things are, and whether it's elimination diets and anti-inflammatory eating. And again, I'm not a dietitian, but it doesn't mean I can't educate people as to where the resources are and be a team player to share where the resources are. Insomnia, like how many of our folks are struggling with insomnia? And just so much of those things. So I'm not, I shared with you the book I found on trauma informed care that just, brings me joy to be able to look at my personal limitations as a human being, and as a white woman living in America today, where there is trauma on many levels. And yes, I have German and Irish, heritage of poor farmers, teachers, carpenters, like different people. But it's learning all of those things deep within myself, physiologically, what's going on, where's that trauma hidden in my body, and then reach out to be mindful and aware and caring and kind to the rest of humanity. And so my colleagues in crime, all the rehab professionals I work with in my department, and working on collaboration and removing barriers when they get stuck in bureaucracy, and saying, okay, we're bumping up against that one, but let's try this one, and let's try this route so that you can feel like you're learning more. Cognitive behavioral therapy interventions, and motivational interviewing, and they're just these fabulous tools out there that fill our toolbox to be better humans. And I think that that's the better we are at walking the walk. and we've talked about that, walking the walk. What's going on in your body? Well, what have you been doing for your body lately? What's going on in your heart? What have you been doing for your heart lately? What's going on in your mind? Well, what have you been doing for your mind lately? And balancing out work. Like I love work. I like work, and not just work here, but I like to hard work. I like to have projects and things, but Where's my rest in my play?
Right.
Where's my laughter? Where's my music? Where's the splashing in the lake? I learned a new skill yesterday.
Tell me.
Paddleboarding.
Oh, fantastic. Stand-up paddleboarding?
Stand-up paddleboarding. I had not yet tried it, crazy as it is, but COVID kind of got in the way of some learning new skills. But yep, I was on the lake, paddleboarding. I was kayaking. I've been kayaking for years, but got on a paddleboard and balanced, and yeah.
Good for you.
I think that's, if we can teach people to overcome their fears of trying new things, by showing them success and moving from our strengths. We all have strengths, no matter how beaten down you are, no matter what life has thrown you. The number of women veterans I work with who they're the care providers on all levels of their entire families. Like, they hold up their entire families. And I'm exhausted just being with them. Not that they exhaust me, but by the level of responsibility that puts on them. And I'm like, okay, let's take baby steps to let this go, because it's not your job. Now, on one level, families need some help to glue us together sometimes because we're spread apart. But how much of it wears on you? Like, how do you balance what's filling your cup, right? Putting your mask on first, right?
Right. It's great advice for all of us. I mean, I'm a mom. It's great advice for me. Sometimes listening to you, I'm thinking, what have I learned new? What new skill have I taught me? Nothing I can think of. So it's good advice. And as you said, we make ourselves better. We bring our best to our clients, and that makes all the difference.
Right. And it's really important. I mean, I think COVID has taught a lot of us resiliency and where our levels are. So maybe tonight it's go to bed early. Maybe tonight it's to, read a book, have a beer and relax. Maybe, like, weigh out. Are you going to go out and play? Or are you going to just rest? Are you going to clean the whole house? Or do you care? Like, does it really matter? And it's funny because we all have expectations of ourselves, and we have expectations of what our surroundings are going to look like and all those other things. And it's learning how to balance that. And we, as therapists and kinesiotherapists, the blessing with what our skill set is and what our scope of practice is that we can integrate these SMART goals and these self-care goals into what we do every day, and then empower people, right? Empower them to say, hey, did you know that there's this free app? It's called Live Whole Health. And on that, you can do all these things. And now there's a new Annie app that will send you reminders so that you can check your blood sugars or check your blood pressure or check your weight, or, it sends you reminders. So, you don't necessarily have to go out and buy the expensive iWatch or all those other, wearable things. There's something free that the VA is offering to you. So it's really, I will say this year I've learned more technology than I ever thought I'd have to learn. 5 different formats of Zoom calls, every one there is, and each one is different. So it's really a learning curve of that, recording them, like turning them off, and then saving that recording and sharing it, I think it's really exciting to be alive right now. And because there is evidence of traditional medicine in the sense of Ayurvedic, Eastern medicine approaches, yoga, Tai Chi, all these movement forms, acupuncture, massage, all these things that integrate right with what we're doing there's evidence, there's research and evidence now that backs it. I think many of us knew because of our patients feeling better. We didn't have time to do the research, but, thank goodness now there's research. And so
you said something that hit me with a ton of bricks, so I'm going to repeat it so that it's on the record forever. So all the time, as the executive director, everyone always asks me, well, what's the difference between KT and PTOT? And, and when I ask a lot of KTs, I meet everyone from educators at our universities all the way down to brand new KTs, and everyone has a little bit of a different answer. So I've really struggled to put that into really clear, concise words. But I think what you said is incredibly beautiful, where, PTOT, they will address the problem. They'll address the shoulder and they'll work on the shoulder. They'll address the knee and work on the knee. But KT has a unique position where you can work on everything, the mind, the body, the spirit, so that you, KT, separate from every other therapy, can set them free.
Mm-hmm.
What
Yep.
an amazing opportunity for every single kinesiotherapist, that you have the tools to set your client free.
Yeah.
What an amazing, awesome gift and responsibility and privilege and opportunity. And I hope every single KT has an opportunity to listen to you talk and to really understand the amazing responsibility and opportunity they have to be able to use their tools and their KT tools, and then to keep learning and doing their research and keep getting their, CEUs, and keep going to the San Antonio conference this year and listening to you. You will be a presenter. That's fantastic. It's very exciting.
Yes.
And to be able to fill their toolbox with things to be able to set their patients free. How amazing.
Yep. And I think as a parent, it's a skill as a parent that we need. So, we are raising children who will grow into adults that need to be independent. And so it's an important thing to remember, because I think sometimes parents want to do everything for their kids and make it easy, make the pathway easy for them. And on one level, I understand a portion of that, but we need to set free. We need our patients to know that they can do this themselves, that they can set their own goals, and this is what they look like. I have a great example. So I had a veteran, obese, lots of pain, knees, back, whatever. And I had seen him through several different versions of back school and aquatic therapy and other things. And I was like, you really need to deal with your diet. You really need to finally lose some weight. And he got so mad at me. And I said, well, you used to be, you told me you were a football player. I said, when you were a football player, was it easy? That was hard work, right? Well, that's what you have to do. And he got real mad at me. Didn't see him for 6 months.
Wow.
He comes back 6 months later. I see him in the hallway. He goes, Miss Meyer. I said, what? Hi, how are you doing? You look great. He had lost 30 pounds. He had gone back to his old football routine, which I was a little worried about, because some of those exercises I would not have recommended, but they resonated with him. And he was able to start really, doing it and making it his own.
You made the connection for him, and that worked.
Right.
It's incredible.
And so sometimes we have to ask what matters to you, what's important to you, what does the next 5 years look like to you, what does the next 6 months look like to you, what do you want to be able to do? How many of my veterans, I can't hold my kids anymore, I can't lift my grandchildren up, I can't ride my motorcycle anymore. That's a huge one, And instead of being the person that says, well, the bad back, you probably should never ride a motorcycle anymore. And I'm just going to say BS to that, because it's not true. For many people with back problems, riding a motorcycle is more comfortable than being in a car. So, but there's components to that have to go along with that,
Sure.
Core stability and all those other things. So it's, plus you can make a tricycle and not a bicycle, not a two-wheeled motorcycle. But yeah, no, I obviously I'm passionate about it. Obviously, I just think we need to find the why. It's not just that somebody's coming in and their back hurts. What's the why for you? And does your back hurt because someone in your life is a pain in your rear end? And so you've held that pain inside your body for so long and you haven't let it go and you haven't recognized it. And that's kind of a non-traditional conversation. Many people have no idea that, when we say, oh, that person's a pain in the rear end. Well, yeah, they are. And you may want to deal with that because it will haunt you if you don't let it go.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
So
this is amazing. You're amazing. Thank you. I can't wait to be in San Antonio with you in a few months and be able to
I
celebrate.
have all my reservations. I have my plane. I have my timeshare. Yep, I'm
Awesome.
ready to rock and roll.
Awesome. It's wonderful. Well, you're a
Okay.
wealth of information and you're one of my favorite KTs and you've done some incredible things. And I'm so thankful for your time and for the opportunity to hear you and that you took time to share with us. So thank you so much.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity. I really appreciate it.